Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our morning market update and live trading room open for Monday, December the 4th of 2017. This is George Papsal from TRADEPRO Academy. I'm happy to have you here today. Hope you guys had a great weekend. It's work time, it's go time, and we're ready to do it all over again this week. We had a really good finish, a really good close to last week's session on the Friday with the opportunity from Michael Flynn. We'll talk about that a little bit more. It came on the newswire and it sold off at around 11:10, 11:09 a.m.-ish. And just as about to get up for the week from the trading desk, I heard the news and I had to sit down and make a nice return for myself. So that it's very important to have a news wire news feed. I wrote a really good article about it, and I'll share that with you. I'll put the link in the description. So just a heads up for that. Today we're going to talk about markets. Obviously, we're going to talk about U.S. and South Korea's drill that they're hosting currently. Some new stuff about Michael Flynn and what needs to happen in order for this tax bill to become legislation, and what's the deadline for it to actually happen. So that's what we're going to cover in this morning's update. All right, let's start by scanning the markets worldwide. In Asia, Japan's down 0.5%, while Hong Kong's up 0.2%, and China's down 0.2%, India up 0.1%. Mixed trade here in the early after the Asian session's already closed. And if you look at Europe in the midday, London's up 0.4%, Paris is up 1.1%, and Frankfurt's up 1.3%. There's some positive talk out of the UK that some Brexit negotiations have moved forward, and there was a deal made with Ireland, and that kind of produced a little bit of upside for Europe. The United States is also up a significant amount. Dow Jones is up 0.9%, almost a whole percentage point rally. S&P's up 0.6%, and NASDAQ's up 0.5%. So of all the markets, you can see Dow Jones is leading the way. It's a little bit stronger than others early on here in the session. Remember that for your correlations. It becomes very important as soon as markets open. Also, we have oil prices that are up 1% to 57.78. So oil continues to the upside, and we think it'll continue up a little bit more until about 59.70-ish. And it may not hit 60 because it's such a nice round number and everyone will sell into it, and it could drop before it hits 60 shy of it. So we got a little bit more upside to go there. Gold prices dropped to 1276, down 0.5%, and Bitcoin surges 1.5% to 11,332 a coin. So we've got a continuation today of the markets from the last couple months and the way that they've moved. We're just continuing extending out these trends. All right, today's economic calendar, we don't have much. 10 a.m. we have factory orders. They're not a massive release. And then at 12:30 p.m. we got the Ameritrade IMX number, and that's at 12:30. It's not that big either. So we have a quiet open to the week here on the Monday. No big economic news or data that can move the market. All right. Out of U.S. and South Korea, the two countries are starting to hold a joint military exercise as of today. It will run until Friday, and it includes 230 aircraft. They're going to stage, get this, they're going to stage a simulation of what would happen if there was an actual war with North Korea. So, I mean, to do that right in South Korea, where it's miles and kilometers away from North Korea, obviously that's a sign of aggression. That's the response to what Kim Jong-un did by launching another ICBM ballistic missile. ICBM stands for Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. So they launched another ICBM, and this is how the United States responds with South Korea. Well, this is how Kim Jong-un responded. He said, North Korea is said to consider the highest level hardline countermeasures in history. It's basically saying, I'm going to use a nuclear weapon if you guys do this. So he said that in response to them holding this exercise, he's considering the hardest line measure. And if you just take into account, if you just pause and stop and look at the snapshot of where we are right now, this thing's getting more serious, right? It's not getting priced into the media anymore. You can see everything's up. All equity markets are up. Even volatility is down. Nobody really cares about this North Korea scenario anymore, but it's escalating. It's continuing to escalate. So if you just found out today that North Korea said this one thing and there's a joint military exercise, the market would be down 8% in one single session. All right. Actually, can't be down more than 5 because there's a limit on the S&P 500 futures. But and it's at 10% actually. And what I'm getting at here is, I think we become desensitized to it, but it's the wrong thing. And just keep an eye out on this. This could be some big news today. It could cause some volatility. All right, here's the thing on Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn apparently was talking to Jared Kushner and not Donald Trump directly. The bombshell report that came out on Friday was not entirely accurate. But then I dug a little bit deeper. And according to some language pattern specialists and former FBI agents, there's a chance, get this, there's a chance that Michael Flynn was wearing a wire during his conversations with Jared Kushner. And if that's the case, then be very afraid. Who knows what he said to who and how if he was wired. And that's just based on the way some of the plea bargain looks, some of the language, and the specific mentions to access to covert operations or data obtained from covert operations, which would definitely mean a wire. All right, so if that's what's happening, then you're going to definitely hear more about the situation. It ain't over yet. It's just getting started. Okay, so look out for that as well. Let's move on to tax legislation. All right, here's what's going to happen for this tax bill to become legislation and official law. So it went through the House vote on the bill. It went through the Senate committee vote on the bill, the Senate Finance Committee. The Senate passed the bill, went down to the floor for a vote. It's officially passed. Today, there's talk early on of the vote heading down to the conference committee and the Senate approving that and heading down to conference committee as early as December 11th or Monday of next week. It seems like they're trying to rush this thing through, which is good. They want to pass this legislation before the holiday break and as quickly as possible at this point. It looks like they're bumping that forward, and I think that's why the market's a little excited. This conference committee could go to vote by Wednesday, which means they could get it back on the floor on the 15th, maybe even on the Friday of this week for the House to pass the bill, and then the Senate passes the bill on the same day. And this is kind of like, so what happens after the committee? They do some revisions and finalize the bill, and then the House and the Senate pass the bill as it is. No more changes are allowed to be made. Then it goes to the desk of Donald Trump for signature. So this tax reform looks pretty much at this point like it's a go. Goldman Sachs pegged at a 95%, I think, completion or chance of it being implemented and in its current state and form. Very small and minor changes can be made in the committee. So that was interesting. Initially, it was slated for a vote on December 14th to 15th. We could get that into law and be official legislation by Friday. And I think the market will react to that in a bullish sentiment. It'll go up a little bit more, and then we'll get exhausted. I think a lot of this news on the tax hype, on the tax bill hype, has already been priced into the market. There's a little bit more squeeze to go, but remember, tops are formed after news is released, and then it starts to drop. If you would have bought the tax trade, you should have had it before the announcement. After the announcement, it comes sell the trade and get out and lock profit. All right, buy the rumor, sell the news. It's always how you trade news events in the history of markets. Another thing that's going to happen this week is on Friday, December 8th, the United States government runs out of money officially to finance their operations. So they're going to either have to limit or remove the spending limit or their budget limit, or they're going to have to push out the deadline and this decision later on in the year, like December, after the week of the tax reform. Really, it's getting to be a tight schedule with the holidays coming up, but that's something they have to deal with. You're not hearing a lot about. So there's either a plan in the works or the media is not covering it because there's other more interesting stuff. But to me as a trader, there's no plan in place right now. The government runs out of money on Friday, so they're gonna have to do a kind of quick measure and just whip something out and agree to it, or just suspend it, and that would be an agreement, or just push the vote down the line a little bit until both parties have some time. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens. That looms on Friday. Potential North Korea aggression out of South Korea and U.S. military drill today. No major news. Keep playing with the trends, stay on the winning side, and that's it. I mean, it's fairly simple. If you're having a difficult time trading these days, it's not going to get any easier from here. It's been a one-sided market where you literally just have to close your eyes and buy any single dip, and you're doing well. So continue with that until it's no longer time to do that. And Friday, I thought we were going to see some volatility come out. It didn't come out. It came out pretty quickly, and not to the extent that I had expected as a follow-through. But I didn't trade the follow-through. I made my money early on and I left for the day. I don't care where the market goes. I have no psychological need, no ego need for me to be right about the market, but I do have a need to get paid. And so whenever I have a move, I make the money and move on. And that's how you day trade. All right, guys, you have yourselves a great day. Take care. All the best. Stay manage risk. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. The agenda starts to pick up a little bit more on the economic front. Today, so far, we're sitting range bound and we're waiting for the open. You guys take care of yourselves. All the best, trade pros. And come have a look at our trading room. We trade together live as a community. And there's nothing better than learning in a community setting and environment. All right. You could be helped by some and help others. And at the end of the day, that's real learning. You guys take care. All the best. Have a great day. See you around. Trade pros, let's open up the room and start mapping out some levels and getting prepared for the US Open, not the tennis tournament. Let me shut down YouTube. See you later, YouTube.